Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How do you follow that? I'm not going to, actually. Can you all hear me at the back? Can you see me at the back? No, I thought not. I think we'll leave that one up there. I don't have any PowerPoint. I don't do PowerPoint. I'm not very good, so we'll leave that up. I have no idea what it means. But we should bear it in mind. Allegedly. Firstly, I'd just like to thank the LMC very much indeed for inviting me to come and talk to you today. It's not strictly true. I wasn't invited, actually. It was my close friend and colleague, Dr. Julian Neal, or the Dark Lord, as he's known in Portsmouth, who is actually invited, but he's busy empire building somewhere else at the moment, so I was drafted in last night at 7:30. So I am a little bit unprepared, but we'll give it a go anyway. I do appreciate that some of you will have come just to hear the Dark Lord, and the fact that Wormtail has come instead will be something of a disappointment to many of you. So I just want to give you the opportunity, should you wish to leave now, without causing offence, or have a snooze, because I know you won't have snoozed through the last one. Please feel free. I won't be offended much. Those of you whom I'm fortunate enough to call my acquaintances will know that this is a very unusual thing for me to do. I very rarely speak my mind. I very rarely have strong views about anything, and I normally just keep very quiet. So this is a little bit out of my comfort zone, I have to say, but we'll give it a go anyway, but bear with me, please. Until I arrived at the NHS, I had been a small businessman all my life, and I had grown up on the... Not sure how, that wasn't one of the funny parts. Anyway, I was convinced that the best things come in small packages. Small is beautiful, and anything large and big lacked soul. To be fair, in my private life, I still think that, actually. To be quite honest, I don't have many tall friends. Can't see the point. However, in my business life, nothing could be further from the truth, which is why I hope in the next 15 minutes to try and explain what we've done, why it's worked, and why, if we don't do something, we'll all be royally screwed. Anyway, I must confess, though, I was a little bit disturbed when I saw the title of this presentation. Acquisition and Sustainability, the Mega Practice. I mean, how to put people off merging in one very short sentence. We don't acquire practices. We've never acquired a practice. Well, once, 1993, a list was bidded for, or whatever you do with lists. I've never been quite sure. We merge, and there is a real difference. And if nothing else, I want you to go away with the understanding of the difference between merging and acquiring. We don't acquire. That's what big businesses do, and they irritate people. And mega practice, I worry about mega practice. That gives me a vision of some horrible practice, soulless, not looking after its patients in some modern building. Well, we've got one modern building, but we actually operate from 5 surgeries, and each one is an autonomous unit with its own very curious ways, with GPs who are curious in their own way. But underpinning it all is a fundamental ability to sort all the administration out. We take as much as we possibly can away from the doctors so that actually GPs end up doing what they are best at and actually what they wanted to do when they first went to medical school, which is see patients. Amazing that, but that's what we do. I would just like, if I may, to give a bit of context. So we've gone through Portsdown Group Practice, 5 surgeries in and around Portsmouth. So we employ at the moment around about 50 administrative staff, which equates to around about 35 odd. They're not all odd, some of them are quite normal, full-time equivalents, 17 nurses, 5 salaried GPs, 4 nurse practitioners, and 15 partners. We'll come on to the 15 partners and how we make a decision. It takes us a lot less time to order a coffee. We've undergone 5 mergers in the last 20 years, 3 of which have happened in the last 4 years, which I think gives some indication as to where the world is going. And we have, as Portsdown Group practice, made every mistake it's possible to make. With mergers, we have cocked it up time after time after time. But each time, we've learned a little bit, and the next time we go, we've learned from the last time. We make another mistake, and that's fine, but we don't get it right all the time. We have long waiting lists, we have disconsolate patients, we have a whole lot, but overall, we do think we're going in the right direction. But what we have learned more than anything else is that the most important part of any merge is the merging of hearts and minds. If you don't get hearts and minds merged, the rest of it is not going to go anywhere. Yes, partnership deeds have got to be sorted out. Yes, finances have got to be sorted out. Yes, IT systems have got to be sorted out. That's the easy bit. The hard bit is the merging of hearts and minds of partners and staff. And we had that from Mike before. It is about people. He is right. The argument for merging is for me compelling. As I said, I come from a non-NHS background, having been a small businessman all my life. And when I arrived at Portsdown, it was fresh from my previous job, which was building the sailing Olympic venue down in Weymouth, where I was responsible for £7 million worth of taxpayers' money, for which we had to account for every penny. So I came into Portsdown, into GP world. Just a little bit of context as well. The interview I had to get the job was based entirely on a curry I'd had the night before with a friend of mine who was a GP who gave me all the things I should say in my interview. So I managed to convince them that I was the right man for the job. They still regret that. I simply couldn't believe when I turned up at Portsdown Group practice and I was told that within Portsmouth City PCT, which covers around about 220,000 patients, there were 27 individual practices looking after those 230,000 patients. How could this be, I asked? How could something so fundamental be so inefficient? And how could it possibly be a reasonable return on taxpayers' money? I was even more astonished to find out about things called health centres, where you had 2 or 3 GP surgeries all coexisting in the same building within feet of each other, with a reception desk there, then another one there, then another one there, and then another waiting room there, and another waiting room, without sharing any resources. It was absolute bonkers. However, I knew deep down that I must be missing something. So I then spent the last 4 years trying to find out what I've missed. And I haven't found it yet, which is worrying. Facts are very clear. We've had them many, many times. Basically, people are getting older, they're living longer, and we've run out of money. It's not really complicated. We can talk about it for hours, but that's how it is. Equally, I remain absolutely convinced that it's unfair. I thought it was 9% of the overall NHS budget. I now understand it's only 8%. But GPs look after 90% of patient contacts, but only get 8% of the... I mean, it's bonkers. It makes no sense at all. But guess what? It ain't going to change very quickly. You know, no matter how much negotiation goes on, that isn't going to change. So it's coffee time. It's smelling coffee time. We've got to do something. I think we've got to do something about it. And I think it's up to us as primary care providers to lead that change. We just had leaders versus managers. We have to lead it. And I have no particular interest, I have no vested interest to pursue. I never want to merge with any other practice that doesn't want to merge with us. It's completely, it's wrong if you don't get over hearts and minds. So I don't want people to come to me and say, oh, please can we merge with you? Because no, well, we might if we want to. But it's got to be a marriage of hearts and minds. What we want to do, we're interested in 2 things, and that is maximising the care we are able to give our patients using the resources available to us. That is the 2 most important things. If as a result of achieving these 2 things, partnership income, net medical income, that bottom line, all you partners look at, which is all you ever look at actually, we do the accounts. You skip over the first 14 pages and you get to the current accounts and you go, oh, right, ooh, that's what I had last time. Anyway, sorry, I've just gone off on a tangent. I shouldn't have done, but I know you all do, and you're all going, no, yes, we do, actually. If we can achieve those 2 things, so improvement in patient care and also increase in partners' net medical income, because we're allowed to say that because we're all friends here, then we will be close to nirvana. So, turning to the example of the Portsdown Group practice, because some of you, I think, will be interested. Most of you won't, but some of you might. As I said, our partnership operates as a true democracy, sort of. We have 15 partners, each of whom has an individual voice. Now, far from that becoming the most horrendous way of possibly making a decision. How, people ask me, how can you possibly all sit around a table at a partnership meeting and come to a decision? Actually, it's quite the opposite, because what it means is that any business venture, anything we want to do, we have to come to the partnership with a properly prepared case, business case, and it's run in a business way. So that means that if anybody comes, because we have two types of decision, you either have a unanimous or majority. Most of the things we need to do are majority rather than unanimous, but the big ones are unanimous. But if you come to that meeting without a properly prepared, laid out, set out, and previously circulated reason as to why you want to do something, it's going to be thrown out, and it'll be thrown out within about 3 minutes. I've got 15 partners, they've all got different strengths. I've got one who is the biggest pain in the arse because she always asks me the questions that I wish she wouldn't. But I know now when I go there, she will ask me that question and I'm ready for it. So actually, far from taking ages to come to any decision, we actually do come to decisions very, very quickly because of preparation that goes on beforehand. So apart from the internal benefits, and there are, I can wax lyrical about it forever, there are, of course, external benefits, which is particularly pertinent when we start to talk about the way everything is going. We're talking about integrated care, we're talking about all that sort of stuff. With 35,000 patients, you see Nigel put up, you need to be federated into groups of 30 to 50,000 patients. We already are. We've got our 35,000 patients. It wouldn't take much to get up to 50,000 patients. So we're actually already there. We've already got the decision-making in process. We can actually make the decision. We can go with it. We can actually just get on and do it. Being larger, we offer our patients, because this is all about patients at the end of the day, remember them? For us, we offer a full range of services. We do every enhanced service. We don't even need to look at it. When it just comes in, we just sign it. Then we work out how to do it afterwards because we have the administration behind us to be able to do it. Some of it is useful for patient care. Not all of it is useful for patient care, but we'll do it anyway because you know what? We get paid for it, so let's do it. But it does mean that for our patients, we offer a wide range. You will all do, I'm sure some of you will have podiatry, you'll have physio, you'll have ultrasound, you'll have all sorts of other things. We do pretty much everything that we possibly can do. Now, that gives our patients, so if you've got a patient down in our southernmost branch, down in Somerstown, who need something done that they can't get in their small surgery up there, they can move up to one of our other surgeries where it is offered. So we're moving towards that integrated care organisation that we've spoken about. So the integrated care is important. We also have administrative support. I've got my 50 people my colleagues who work with me all the time in the administration side. They're not all administrators, a lot of them are receptionists clearly. But it does mean that if we go for something, we do it properly. And I'll give you one small example, and it's not just because two of my key members of my team are sitting in this room and they wanted me to say this, although they don't know they wanted me to say this, but I know that they now know that they wanted me to say this, so I'm going to say it anyway. 3 years ago, we decided what a good idea it would be to become a research practice. Looked like a really good plan. You could get lots of money, and that was really good, and you might be doing some good for the patients. So we sort of had a look at it and thought, well, actually, do you know what we need to do? We need to do this properly. We don't need to just do it piecemeal. We need to do it properly. So we set out, and many of you who are used to the research thing will know there are 3 tiers of research. So you start at tier 1, and then you graduate to tier 2, and then if you're really good, you get up to sessional. And we were told this is normally a sort of 5 to 6 year process, and we just have to... So we thought, well, actually, we don't believe that. We want to do this properly. So we employed somebody properly, Joe, who's sitting at the back and will be very quiet about it. We just said, okay, and when we met Joe, if you've ever met Joe and you know Joe, she's not one to take things lightly or sitting down. She is, if we could bottle half of that energy, we'd all be billionaires. Anyway, so I said, Joe, go and run this for us. Because we had the resource behind us to be able to do that, at the end of year 1, after doing all the tier 1 stuff, we were immediately promoted at the end of year 1 to tier 2. They said, ooh, that's never happened before, we can't do that. There'll be some of you going, yes, it has, because it happened to us. Just bear with me, because it's not strictly accurate. And at the end of year 2, guess what? we got sessional status. So within 2 years, having started from scratch, we got up to sessional status. Last year, it generated around about £95,000 for the practice. Now, that's not a bad return on your investment by doing research, by doing things properly. That's just one small example of things you can do when you're part of a larger organisation. We're looking at everything about integrated care at the moment. We're looking at district nurses. We're looking at using community services. We're looking at everything that we can do that we can bring under our own control again, rather than just relying on provider organisations who may or may not get it right all the time and may or may not have a vested interest in getting it right. We have, by virtue of our size, we have some political pressure to be able to say to people, actually, we're not going to do that, we're going to do this. And people do sit up and notice when you start to say, this is what we'd like to do. Big is, in this case, beautiful. I've said the entire administration of the practice is vested in out of GPs, so that GPs, they can't get away with everything. We need GPs to do sequin, we need GPs to do QOF, we need GPs to do all sorts of things and see patients. But what we do is take everything else away from them, so actually they are back to doing what they want to do. And as GPs, as your workload, your administrative workloads get greater and greater, just step back for a moment and think how nice it would be to be able to say, actually, that's not my job anymore, that's someone else's job. It makes a huge difference. We talk about stress. All my GPs are stressed, of course they are, but I suspect they might be slightly less stressed than some of you who are running 1, 2, 3 partner practices where everything is just loading onto you the whole time. One of the things that I know people are slightly anti-large partnerships is, well, if I want to go and do something, if I'm a 2-partner practice, I just have to persuade my partner. Actually, most of our GPs, most of them who come to us and say, our partners who come to us and say, this is what I'd like to do. I go back to my point before. If you want to do it, that's fine. Go and do it. But come to us with a properly worked out argument as to why you want to do it, and you can do it. It's no problem. So there's none of the, well, we wouldn't be able to do something that we want to do because we're part of a big partnership. It doesn't happen. It happens all the time. We are as worried as everybody else is about what's going to happen we're PMS, so we're worried about what's going to happen with PMS contracts. Of course we are. It's a concern. But we believe that we are well suited, well sorted, in the right place to be able to absorb changes. We are a large practice, we have a large income and large expenses, I hasten to add. But at the end of the day, we can absorb changes to contracts, we can absorb things far more easily than I suspect some of the smaller practices can. I'd like to leave you with 2 things. I think I've been, oh yes, I'm just about right. First of all, a 5-point plan. I perhaps should have done a PowerPoint, but it's not rocket science, so bear with me. Five-point plan to a successful merge. Number 1, patient care needs to be top of your priorities. Nothing else matters. You've got to do a merge for the right reason, and that's to do with patient care. Number 2, as partners of your organisations, as owners and business leaders of your organisation, you've got to be prepared to accept compromise. There is no good sticking your heels, digging your heels in and say, well, I'm not going to change, I've always done it that way, I've only ever worked on a Friday afternoon in room 4. Well, we want you to work on a Thursday in room 2 now. Oh, I can't do that, good Lord. You've got to accept that there should be and is compromise. You should get your partnership deed aligned early on. Partnership deed is a really important bit. Any document like a partnership deed or a contract, you only ever need to refer to it if things go wrong. So just make sure it's right. I mean, we don't spend hours and hours and hours agonising over it. It's your own document. Just get the thing written down in the way that everybody agrees it looks right. Bob's your uncle. Don't go and spend thousands of pounds on solicitors' fees. Just get it so that it looks right. Everyone agrees. Done. Never forget, finally, involve the whole organisation. Talk about people. Mike's talking about people. Get the whole organisation involved as early as you possibly can. Involve your staff. They are all going to be really scared. You know, whatever merge is going to be, there is always, oh, I'm going to lose my job, or, oh, someone else is going to be better than me. Get everybody involved at a very, very earliest stage. It's what we talk about. It's what we do all the time, try to do. We don't get it right all the time. And number 5, as I've said, hearts and minds is the most important part of any merge. That is by far the most important part. And as a final point, I would just draw your attention. Nigel does this at the LMC conference every year. He'll stand up and say, oh, whose partnership income has gone up in the last 12 months? And everybody keeps their hands down, apart from me. Because over the last 4 years, each year, our partnership net medical income has gone up. And that's been despite the number of changes we've had, the money we've lost from contracts, etc., it has gone up every year. That is only relevant if you take it in the context that at the same time, our numbers, our patient numbers, have also gone up organically by about the same percentage points as the net medical income has gone up. Now, that suggests to me that patient care isn't being compromised at the altar of partnership income. We're actually, possibly, just possibly, moving in the right direction. And with that thought, I shall end. Thank you very much for not falling asleep or leaving.